Hi, this is Jason Major from the Biblical Cinematic Universe. Today we're going to be reviewing Testament, the story of Moses from Netflix. We don't have a DVD, so I got some other Ten Commandment movies, Exodus, Ten Commandments, the Ten Commandments TV miniseries, and Prince of Egypt, to just show you that we're doing Ten Commandments. And so I wanted, this came out March 27th, 2024, and it is directed by, I'm just looking up here, Benjamin Ross, and stars Charles Dance, Clark Peters, Avi Azulay, Dominique Tipper, Mamet, so basically a lot of unknowns is what it comes down to. Before I do that, there's kind of multiple ways to look at this, because on one hand there's the movie, on the other hand there is it as a documentary, or sort of, then as a docudrama, which is because it is like, it's kind of like, there'll be kind of like 2-3 minutes of a movie, and then all of a sudden someone will come up with the theologian of one of the three faiths, Christian, Islam, or Jew, and say, this is what this is what the story of Moses tells us, this is what we get from the scriptures, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of a mixture between a movie and kind of like a docudrama style thing. And so that's the first thing, is that going into this, if you know that is a docudrama, and you should watch the trailer to know that, if you're going to be irritated by the fact that every 3 to 5 minutes you're going to be interrupted, the movie's going to be interrupted, then you're not going to enjoy this at all. The second thing is that this is not just a Christian documentary. This is a multi-faith documentary. Now, I say that in the sense that, like, at least it's just a multi-faith documentary, meaning it talks about it from the theologians from the Muslim tradition, Jewish tradition, and an Islam tradition, not from a kind of a atheist secular tradition. But there's still parts of that where if you are if you're going in wanting to just watch the Moses story and enjoy it, like the movie part, you would probably just enjoy it. But when you kind of have these running commentaries, you can kind of go like, well, that's not what I believe, and that's not what I believe. It kind of takes you out of the movie, I feel. And so that's what I feel, is that, yes, I could watch a documentary about these three different type of scholars talking about the story of Moses, if I knew that's what it was. But when you're watching the movie, and it's doing this going back and forth, it's like you're getting into the movie, and then, let me talk through it. Let me talk to you about this. It becomes very jarring. So I would say that and then let me talk, but I want to mostly talk about the movie itself. I would say that the actor playing Moses is fine. This is, I also think that you need to compare this compared to other Bible TV miniseries, because it's a kind of more of a TV type budget. You can tell it's a TV budget. It also does the TV thing where it's like, you can tell in some shots there's like 20 to 40 extras, and then in a CG shot there's supposed to be hundreds of people. But it's much better than this movie, which is Ten Commandments with Doug Ray Scott, which was a TV miniseries from a couple decades ago, which was one of my least favorite. It's much better. If it was just a movie, it would have been much better than that. But I'd say that it kind of goes in waves. Like it starts okay, and then, it starts off okay, and then it kind of gets better. But then after the Red Sea, it kind of does nosedive, and the talking heads sort of interrupt the flow of that story, and kind of then you're kind of just like that actual sequence of the Ten Commandments is not epic. Of him getting the Ten Commandments is not epic to me. Also, my other commentary from stuff that I would criticize but badly is that there's a couple scenes where it's like the extras weren't giving stage directions. It's like the victory over the Egyptians, and they're just kind of standing there, and they're kind of like, oh, praise the Lord, it's like they're not really doing much, without ruining the scenes for you. It just, in context, when you have these big group scenes, it seems like the extras just sort of stand there, and they're not emotionally engaged in what you know is the context of the story, even by the movie's version of the events. So that was kind of frustrating. The guy playing Moses, I thought he was up and down. There's some parts I really liked, there's some parts I didn't. The guy playing the Pharaoh was fine, but again, he was fine. He wasn't memorable. It's not like I feel like I want to follow that actor's career or anything. So a lot of the performances were just fine, and the story was fine. Like if it had been a TV miniseries, it was fine. Like I would have enjoyed it as a 3-hour TV miniseries as opposed to a 4.5-hour with this documentary stuff. It'd been fine. I would say that good in the movie. Like I said, some of the acting choices were pretty good. It does, for the most part. I mean, just as a spoil, not really a spoiler warning, but this movie stays faithful to the idea of everything that God supernaturally did these miracles. So there's that part. It doesn't try and naturally explain all the stuff that happened with the plagues or anything. There are some of the plagues look really cool, and some of the supernatural things like the cloud of day, pillar of fire by night. That looks really cool. The Red Sea, it looks really CGI to me, and it's not as impressive as maybe something that happened. Like, I mean, it's hard. It's not fair to really compare it to movies, but like you think of even the Prince of Egypt cartoon from the '90s was more believable. It's animated than this, and even the 1950s, I think the Ten Commandments 1950s Red Sea parting looks cool compared to something that looks very CGI. But as I said, there's in terms of if you go in knowing that it is going to be interrupting the flow of the story every 3 to 5 minutes, I think you're going to find it entertaining and work. I mean, I saw it all in one sitting. It wasn't like some of these Ten Commandment Bible movies where I'm just dragging through it. But story-wise, when I was in part 2 and going, okay, maybe this is more than a 5, maybe this is a 6 or 7, by the end of Act 3, I'm back to a 5. So my review is a 5 out of 10, with a warning that if you don't want to see it as the documentary drama, you're not going to be interested. But if you want to but the movie itself would still probably be a 5 out of 10 if it was just a movie. But it is worth seeing. The story. The additions are from different traditions of the Jewish and Muslim faith that are sprinkled into this version of the story. But for the most part, the story. And as I said, that my last takeaway is that I really did feel like that action part of the plagues was really told well on a TV budget that they were doing, but then when you got to the afterwards, it's kind of falls on a cliff narratively, and they don't find the landing. There's also a couple theological points when the theologians are talking and they're going like, "Oh, did you know this?" And you're like, "That's not what my tradition believes." That may annoy someone who is. It may annoy you as long as you know that like I said, that you're watching these different theologians that are not your traditional Christian faith comment on the story, then you're going to be aware, okay, well, that's their opinion, that's just their part of their theology. But I felt that from a movie experience, that takes me out of the movie from just enjoying the movie. If it had just been a movie itself, I would have enjoyed this and given it probably a 6 out of 10. But again, the way it's presented on Netflix, this is 3 parts, 5 out of 10. So I would say watch the trailer. If it looks interesting to you, you'll be amused for an afternoon as an alternative take. Otherwise, my favorite, besides 10, these are my top 3, and the silent film version is my top 4 Ten Commandments. All right, see you later. Bye.